Well, hello everyone. We're coming to you today to talk about something that's coming up in the community. It's going to be next week, or I should say the date is June 20th. And what it is the Marshall Area Dementia Awareness Walk. And we're here because with our friend Bonnie Doyle, and I should introduce also Rebecca Reynolds. Rebecca and I actually are volunteers with that organization. We sometimes say Maydan, and I'd like to start also with some definitions. So with dementia, it's something that we like to talk about, just to help people be more aware of this being something that can happen. It's especially more prevalent as we get older. It's not necessarily part of normal aging because you would often be very active in the community as you get older as well, but there's something that can happen to our brains that kind of slows us down. It starts maybe with simple memory loss, and then we start knowing that, what are we missing here? But it can change, and it's so different for each individual who encounters some form of memory loss. And we're so excited to be here with Bonnie today because in her case, she was the caregiver, the person for her husband, John, and they're our family of honor this year. And it really helps in the community to have someone that someone else who has gone through this experience to be at the forefront to help others walk along the way. And I can't think of a better family to bring to you to talk about this than the Doyles because, gosh, they were so involved in the community, and that is something that was at the core of continuing through this journey. Many of you, if you followed our organization, know we've had a speaker come to Marshall several times, creating moments of joy, and her name is Jolene Brackey. But I don't know if Bonnie had read the book before this or not, but she's enacted that through these years. I want to say also that John recently passed. The funeral was just 6 weeks ago, I believe. So it's an honor and tribute to him, but also to your family for the way you walk this path. Not something anyone necessarily chooses, but today we're going to ask you some questions that are going to help us understand how you did what you did.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today for our program, and I especially want to thank Bonnie Doyle for being here with us today. We're really excited to hear about their unique journey as they went through memory loss with Bonnie's husband, John. And we're going to hear some more about everything that her family went through. First, I want to tell everybody about our upcoming Walk for Memories. Our Marshall Area Dementia Awareness Network has our upcoming annual Walk for Memories on Thursday, June 20th. The walk is going to be at Independence Park this year. And so we're outside again. We're going to be around the pond with the walking path. And the event is going to run from 4 to 7. We have Kayla Daniels with music. We have activities. We're going to have some educational activities so we can learn more about memory loss. Food is going to be for sale from the Noon Rotary. We want to thank them as well for participating in our event. And all of the agencies that have something to do with memory loss are going to be at the event. And so we're really excited to introduce our community members to those resources as well. And we want to invite you to come down. Bonnie, we're going to begin our interview now, and I want to thank you once again for your courageousness in going on this adventure with us this year. We are just so delighted to have you here with us because you have such a unique take and unique story of what your family went through and how you handled things. And so I think our folks that are watching are going to be really interested in how you and your family handled this. The first question, Bonnie, that I have for you today is what were some early signs that you started to notice with John with memory loss? Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Thank you, by the way, for being here. This is really fun.
Yeah.
One of the first things was John was forgetting the days of the week.
Okay.
And that was really unusual. And I know our daughter Carlin and I went in to see the doctor one day and said, "Is this something happening?" And he said, "No, I really think this might be just a drug interaction or something." And so things were changed, and it went on for a little bit. But then more things started to happen. And he loved to work on his computer, and sometimes as he was saving something, he might lose it.
Oh.
And that became frustrating. John was very good at remembering dates and people and words of, that sort of thing, and that became harder. That was probably the biggest sign that we started noticing about something's wrong.
Yeah, because John was a teacher, and amongst a million other things, if you know.
Just what I was going to say.
If you knew John Doyle, John was.
Minneota got him for a few years, but then he had a long career here at Marshall teaching social studies. I think it was 24 years or 30 some years of teaching.
Right.
But the other thing about this guy is that it wasn't just his teaching career, because he was such a community-minded person. Oh my goodness. If there's anyone wanting to have an example of how to be retired, it would be John. I mean, many years he did this. Did he get paid to be at Walmart? Because he was a Walmart greeter for 17 years?
That's right.
Wow. And
yes. In fact, he retired from teaching when he was 61, hoping to have a couple of years of retirement because his father had died at 63.
Oh.
Well, John enjoyed 30 years.
Yeah.
And during that time, of course, was doing other things like the Walmart greeter, teaching GED, including in the jail. And that was a real enjoyment for him. He was on the city council. He worked at Schwann's part-time as a...
he was at the R&D facility.
He was at the R&D, yes, as a sensory panelist. Right.
Tasting things.
Yes,
Sure.
well, he loved food.
He was a recipe guy. Yeah,
He was.
cooking. Yeah.
He loved to cook. Boy, do I miss that.
Yeah, I bet you too.
But I just wanted to highlight that he was doing everything right and was so active, very involved at church as well.
Right.
I did recently review his obituary, and it was very extensive, all the things he did in the community. It's just fabulous to know that.
He loved to give.
And that was apparent throughout his church life, but all your friends, your family. He's just that kind of guy. And I know I saw him just like 10 years ago kind of scoping out like retirement, like places to live or what could be next. But then what you were saying, what kind of happened? You kind of noticed that he kind of missed a beat here and there.
He did. And even with driving, we would often go to the Metro to visit friends and so forth. And I became the driver.
Oh, okay.
In fact, one of our friends, when we left their house, said, "Bonnie, are you driving?" And I said, "Yeah, he wants me to drive in the metro area
And so
now."
for him, this was maybe changes when he was in his 80s, or?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was a later in life situation.
Definitely. Right.
And wanting to point out, I think, one of those words to clear up, we say memory loss. I think, to me, it's easier to say than the big dementia word, because dementia isn't even a medical term. It's just a description. They often say it's an umbrella term for different kinds of memory loss. I like to think about it, this time of year, especially with all the flowers there are. If you said a flower, you'd need to pinpoint what kind of flower, like what you're going to put in this year for your flower garden. I think it's the same. And then how did you were telling us how you found out what kind of memory loss did he have?
Well, on October 9th, actually, my birthday of 2017, he fell backwards in the street and had a big bump and so forth. And so we had to go to Sioux Falls to the neurology center and so forth and be checked out. And they then mentioned this NPH, let me see it, I have to think of that word. NPH, I think, stands for...
We'll look at our notes and find it.
Look at my
But
notes, I guess.
But they've discovered there was something going on.
Normal pressure hydrocephalus.
Oh, my! Oh, that's right.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a long term to remember.
And a shunt was often something they could do.
Oh, so there
but
was some fluid in the wrong
there
place
was fluid in
his
the wrong
brain.
place, right? But he was not a candidate for having that done at that time. So that was too bad, but that's the way it was. And then all through his life and the generations before him, heart disease was another factor. So vascular dementia was also mentioned at times. So it's kind of a combination of things.
And that can just be kind of sneaky, I think the vascular one especially, where,
Right.
again, for many of these conditions, we're looking at the same person, they look the same, but the brain's not working the same.
Right.
And for vascular, it might be not getting the right amount of oxygen to help your brain do the functions that it should do or
Right.
always has done.
If the cells actually die.
And then different parts of the brain could be affected.
Right.
Again, this makes this condition so unique to each person to know.
does.
And then to have a combination of what's going on.
Right.
So where did that take you then after you got that diagnosis?
Well, at that point, falling became kind of a big thing.
Oh, gosh.
And that was hard for me at home.
Okay, that probably affected his balance.
Exactly. And so it got to the point where we really felt it was best to consider nursing home care. And we were fortunate to be able to be here in Marshall, so that was close by. We had a short little stint in Minneota, but that was
Smoothly.
very nice, yes.
So that's Morningside Heights.
That's Morningside Heights, that's right.
Yeah.
That opened a door for you too.
Yeah.
Because I know, Bonnie, you got so involved in volunteering and helping other
Right.
people, again, in that journey of what it's like to bring a loved one to a nursing home setting.
It's not always easy.
It really isn't. It really isn't easy as you are going through all of that. What I want to know, it sounds like the diagnosis was fairly straightforward, kind of.
Kind of.
As much as you can be with these, because you think that something goes wrong, you pop into the doctor, and boom, you're going to have a diagnosis, and not really the way it goes, is it, Jane?
No.
Yeah, and it wasn't quite that way for you either, Bonnie, that there were the pieces of the puzzle, if I understand correctly.
Right.
Sure.
The doctors were wonderful. I mean, they
Yeah.
tried their best to do everything they could
Yeah.
to support us, and they did.
So wonderful too that you could go somewhere and get more diagnosis from a specialty clinic like that.
Exactly. Right. No, it was very nice.
And to have availability of a unit for him to be right in town with you, I bet that was really helpful to you too.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a mile and a half away.
Oh boy,
And
that
in his
makes a difference.
situation, because he had more medical needs, the nursing home was the right course.
It was.
There's also several memory care units in town now too, but that would be for someone who doesn't have probably the medical problems that
Right.
he might have had.
And he had a chronic kidney disease as well. That was major.
Okay, so I think a lot of things to watch then. It
Right.
wasn't like where he would just be someone, in a memory care situation.
Right.
That was the full-blown everything.
Everything.
But tell us more about how you got involved. Or what happened at Morningside for you that made it work? What did you see was a need?
Well, first of all, I didn't want John to be isolated and our family to be isolated in a care center. I wanted to see that he was stimulated a lot, able to get out and about as much as his health would allow. And so I was happy that he could still walk when we went in. And in fact, he went in, like I say, in November of 2017. And unfortunately then in March of 2020 is when COVID hit. And I remember so well, March 1st, we went to church, we went out for dinner, we went on our walk for 3,000 steps, and just had a great day together. And the next day they called and said, I'm sorry, you can't come because of COVID.
Wow.
And from that time on, he was in a wheelchair and never did get out of a wheelchair.
Okay.
But that was the way things had to be. And
Quite a setback at the
it
time.
was. But that still didn't stop us once we
No.
were able to see him again, because he was able to get out and be at our home, go to events, and that was wonderful.
Well, you're the next level, though, because you made sure that happened as well. Did you start using, there's a the taxi service with the lift? Is that how that worked?
Right. Well, it's UCAP. The buses with the lift are wonderful. And then we were also fortunate to have a friend who would let us use his van.
Okay.
And also another service out of Cottonwood that you could use that van.
Okay.
And John could get in and we could go different places. And then at home, our good neighbors built a ramp so that we could get John into the house, and that was a comfortable.
Because I think that's something I remember you saying too that was especially poignant almost, where when you did these things with him, he was different.
Oh, definitely. Sundays were the best day. He loved going to church. The music, the people, all the stimulation was awesome. Yes, he would take a little nap in the afternoon, but boy, he was on
point. And just even like being back in the familiar environment of your home, or getting out in the community to see people, what's going on. He was always so curious about what's going on.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Bonnie, because Bonnie met with us the other day and was telling us about her caregiver story. And what I found so unique about your caregiver story is how you utilized the facility to help you, but you were so involved and so you had breakfast and lunch and supper with John and volunteered at Morningside Heights. Would you mind telling us some more about that particular experience? Because I find a lot of caregivers are really, really terrified about that step of putting their loved one in a facility, which is really difficult for anyone, and it's really terrifying for them. But it seems as though your story, you were able to utilize the facility and still be married and still have meals, and then you had the help. Would you mind telling us some more about that experience?
Well, first of all, I really tried to keep everything on a positive note.
Yes.
And I had to learn about that journey.
The condition.
Exactly, not only as it began with dementia, but also going into the facility, like you say, and what the policies were and that sort of thing. And I'm a person, I do like to know what's going on, so tell me, don't say, oh, we don't have to bother her with that.
That reminds me, your background is as a librarian. Well, of course, ask a librarian, right?
Yeah.
That you found this,
So
to be a journey you could do, because you were recognized by the state or by an organization with nursing homes for your volunteer work there.
Right.
That was pretty fantastic.
So I just, did a lot of research to learn about the disease. I asked questions of others so that I was empowered to be able to handle what was happening, and then helping others along the way too. Makes one feel good, and even a chance to learn more.
Yeah.
So in your volunteer role there, I'm understanding too, like you met with new families?
I did. We had a family council, and it gave us a chance to talk about things, what was coming up, if you had concerns, where to go, that kind of thing. And again, trying to keep that in a very positive situation, not a place to come and complain, but to learn and move forward.
And do it as a group. I mean, kind of teamwork again.
Exactly, so that everyone was feeling better and be able to enjoy life and feel good.
Yeah. Again, some of these things, they're not choices that you make, but how can you make the best of them?
Right.
And
right, that is so true.
that you did it.
I know I certainly had to learn to be patient and understanding. I think that's one of the first things that I would tell someone is because you can't argue with them. You can't put them down by saying, don't you remember? Or come on now, let's do this, or whatever. Because that takes some time to process.
In my life too, I often equate it with the search for quality childcare. Because you kind of have to watch your child or ask questions or kind of get a feel for whatever setting you choose or end up with, whether it's like a home or a center again. But I think it's kind of the same because you're turning your person over to these people, but then how you have to watch for the clues of how they're adjusting and how you can make it better because you can.
one great thing about Morningside Heights was the activities. That really was a great stimulation. I mean,
Okay, like what did you do? What were
well, I went with John to a lot of things. It was fun for me too.
That's neat.
Yes, it really was. I mean, there were things, even gardening. I mean, they would have the residents participate in planting things. And I can remember going with John and two other gals downstairs to see how the progress of the flowers or the
Okay.
vegetables might be. And that was fun.
And games? Like,
Games.
yeah.
Games. Oh, my goodness, yes. They would play
Right there.
a type of bowling. And I remember when we had a little birthday party for John one time, he said, be sure and invite my bowling team.
That's
Okay.
cute.
Oh, that's
Because
lovely.
Sure.
There were 3 other gals that bowled with him, and they were kind of a team, I guess. And he had been a bowler when he was before my time, and so that was fun.
Great. So I know your family is very, very close and very involved in this. What I want to ask next, Bonnie, is can you tell us, how did this affect your family?
Well, it certainly was kind of a hard time at first. Number one, during COVID, our son passed away. And it was hard for the grandchildren, I think, to grieve the change in John. And that was hard and sad. But when he was home for holidays or just home for whatever we might all be together, they were very accepting. The great-grand girls were just so much fun. I mean, they would, like Christmas, one of them, the older one, would say, can I help you open that gift? You know.
They learned how to use words to help. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the youngest, just the other Easter, I guess, when they were there, she said, I like candy. And so,
And that's a good reminder, too, because our organization has worked to have some resources at the library, and some of them are specifically about children understanding the condition. And that is so hard to see your grandpa change so much and to know how to still relate to them.
right.
And by your example, I think they found a way to do that.
Sure. And I'm just so pleased that they treasure the memories that they did have the opportunity to make.
Yeah.
I know when John was asked about what his goals in life were, and when he told the doctor, I want to attend their graduations of all my grandchildren. And he did
And
do
he
that.
did.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
2022 was the last one.
Wow. He set some high goals. I remember, too, like you were saying about the going to church part and using the van to get to church, but he was there 8 days before he passed,
Yes,
right?
he was.
That,
Wow.
the man had goals.
Yes.
He did. He did. Oh, Palm Sunday, I remember so well. Too, the usher asked him if he would like a palm, and he reached out to take it, and she asked him if he would like to shake it. Yes, and wave the palm. So it doesn't completely shut down the mind. John didn't talk for almost a year. Most people said, John Doyle doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Right.
The greeter, the teacher,
Yeah.
the socialite.
The singer.
Yeah.
So, but he did understand. It was good, and I know it was troubling for people to come and visit not knowing what to say or how to handle things. But then it kind of got to be they would visit with me, and John was listening. You could tell by his reactions and so forth.
Yes, I'd love to do some kind of a workshop on how to visit. Maybe you can help me, because I think we it's like a barrier. That door to the facility is like, how do I go? What do I say? What do I do? And
Right.
I think you found a way to make it welcoming for visitors to come.
Sure. Yes, it was good, and the best part, I would come and he would pucker up his lips to give me a kiss.
I bet he liked that part too.
So-
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to mention the love story.
Yeah.
The part there too. The 61 years, was it?
61 years.
Okay,
61 years
Yes.
married.
That,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know when we met before too, you talked about how sometimes he would say something and you'd think, did that really happen? But again, your research librarian here, that you found out often it was true.
Right. This was in the beginning, where pre-COVID, and we would be able to walk up into the front of the hospital and those big windows and look. It's just like it transformed him. And we got to talking a lot about past times, and yes, I did learn things that I didn't.
You didn't know even after such a long marriage. She was like, okay. We never talked about that. Yeah.
And at that time, he was still using his computer too, and so he would write down things, and that was neat that we could do that. And so then that also put me into hunting for things at home in his file.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was, again, pretty organized, and it was probably labeled in a file.
Well, not always.
Not always labeled. You had to look a little harder. Okay.
Right. But that was good to experience that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we've got it.
Yeah, that's great memories from that. What I want to know, I know your daughter Carlin wanted to be here today and couldn't, and what we wanted to know a little bit about is because there's all different ways of caregiving, and so sometimes you're the person that was here and you were there for breakfast, lunch, supper, and you were there all the time, and then we have loved ones that live farther away, and we call that long distance caregiving when somebody can't be there all the time, and the things that there's still things that they can do to help with the caregiving process when you are a long distance caregiver. Can you tell us a little bit? I know Carlin had sent in some things about her long distance caregiving experience. Can you tell us some more about that?
Well, during COVID, halfway or so into it, Elvira was able to get iPads to be used, and that was nice because then Carlin could FaceTime. And
technology saved the day.
Technology saved the day is right. And she would do that at least 3 or 4 times a week. And that was really nice. It was nice for me too to have that opportunity. But they would talk back and forth at that point, and it was encouraging again. It was positive.
I see she made a note too. She cut his hair.
Oh, yes.
When she visited, then when she could come back to visit.
Right.
Again, he was a dapper man, so that she helped him retain that he always looked sharp.
Right. Yeah, he did like to look good.
Yeah.
What else were things for that Carlin remembered?
And another nice thing that she did for myself was even she would bring, or she and Tom would provide some snacks or foods and that kind of thing for me to even put in the freezer.
Okay.
But he loved the snacks that she would bring from the Cold Spring Bakery.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the Cold Spring Bakery, because she's up around that area in Cold Spring, Minnesota.
Stop there on the way.
Oh, I'm sorry to tell you, I know the Cold Spring Bakery very well.
I mean, the Grand Falls on the way, you could stop 2 times on the way.
Yes.
Exactly, and we did.
Yes, that's good.
They're good reputations, but she did things like that.
Yes,
and what was?
And the other good thing too is she is as well as our son and daughter-in-law too would stay in touch with the facility and attend care conferences and that kind of thing. So they were in the loop. And that, I think, is very important to have family.
Oh, that's really swell, because it wasn't just you relaying it secondhand.
No,
then she was there again with technology, no doubt.
Right. I'll never forget, in May of 2019, there was the suggestion that maybe John should start dialysis. And our son said, oh, do we really want to do that? Because that's a lot of needles and time and so forth. Would Dad like that? And the decision was not to, and that was okay.
Well, we're down to about 1 minute left here. So, Bonnie, what I want to wrap up with is, what advice do you have for caregivers that are perhaps just starting their journey?
Well, to try and stay positive, look for something good in every day. I know not every day is good, but I think to continue to love that individual with all your heart and soul, and know that when you do, God is going to get you through.
Oh, That is beautiful advice. And again, I want to thank Bonnie for being here today with us. And one more time, I want to invite everybody to our Walk for Memories event next week, Thursday, June 20th at Independence Park. Wear your
purple, because we're
Please
wearing
wear
purple. That's kind of a symbol for dementia awareness. But what else is going on, Rebecca? Can you highlight that?
We have a path around the pond there. There's going to be lots and lots of resources. All of the players the agencies that deal with memory loss of any kind are going to be there. So we have lots of resources available. Kayla Daniels is going to be there playing music for us. We have some educational activities for family, and Noon Rotary is putting on some food. You can come and buy some food and not have to cook.
So what's the times for it again?
We are at 4 to 7 p.m. at Independence Park, Thursday, June 20th.
And right at 6 o'clock, it's a little...
Right at 6 o'clock, we are honoring the Doyle family. There will be a lap of honor for the family of honor this year to remember John and to remember everybody in their caregiving experience, and to honor the Doyle family right at 6 p.m. for that event. So come join us. We'd love to have you Thursday, June 20th at Independence Park.
Thank you.
Thank you.